Always trust.
We ask the questions.
What is needed in the world?
Is that going to be?
Take a step and reject Sej. That was the rallying cry for hundreds of thousands of Armenians in April and May this year, who took to the streets and forced the resignation of Armenia's president turned prime minister, Serge Sargsyan. Later, his ruling Republican Party stepped down from power, clearing the way for leader of the opposition Nikol Pashinyan to lead a new government.
If you do not accept the legitimate requirements of the state, then goodbye.
The Velvet Revolution, so named for being non-violent, was a remarkable turning point for the Caucasus nation. Mr. Pashinyan, who now heads an interim administration, has sought to capitalize on widespread public support and bring about sweeping reforms. He has promised to tame the oligarchs monopolizing Armenia's politics and the economy, hold new elections, and transform Armenia into a liberal democracy. At the same time, he must play a delicate balancing act geopolitically between Russia and the West. Moscow provides economic and military support to Armenia, which has been geographically isolated by both Turkey and Azerbaijan. Armenia fought a war over the Nagorno-Karabakh region with Azerbaijan in the 1990s. And Azerbaijan wants its internationally recognized territory back. The conflict could reignite at any time.
I'm Robin Forestier-Walker in Yerevan. I've come to the Armenian capital to meet the man whose mass protest movement brought down an entrenched, corrupt elite. But he now faces deep challenges from within his country and beyond. Today, Armenia's Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan talks to Al Jazeera. Nikol Pashinyan, Prime Minister of Armenia, thank you for talking to Al Jazeera. I was here with Al Jazeera for those incredible few weeks in April and May of this year, when the Armenian people rose up in their hundreds of thousands and brought down the previous government. This was something many people believed was impossible, and it was done without a shot being fired. What have you achieved so far?
You know, most important thing that we changed already, it's the perseverance of their own role of the people, of any citizen. It is most important change that we have done already, because before revolution, the most part of Armenian citizens, they considered that they didn't decide anything, that nothing depends from their position, from his position, but we make our citizens believe that their position, their voice is most important factor in our political and social life. And that's most important change that we have already done.
But you've still got to deliver on those important reforms. People want changes. They want functioning utilities, they want public services, they want a reformed police service, they want jobs. How are you going to deliver these to a public that is hungry for change? And based on history, there isn't an awful lot of patience after revolutions. People want it yesterday. They don't have an awful lot of patience to wait around. You need to implement those changes quickly.
We are now in process of the involvement new people to the Armenian economy. We are going to guarantee the equality, and now we can say that all people, all citizens in Armenia are equal before the law. We are going to make economic reforms to liberalize our economy, to make it more attractive for foreign investor and for domestic investor. How we are going to do that? We are going to guarantee security of any investment. We are going to create infrastructure with high quality, and we are going to make people believe and act in economy and create their own businesses, and to have real opportunity to become successful and make our country more successful.
You don't have a huge amount of foreign policy experience. You're not a military man, and yet your country has this conflict ongoing with its neighbor Azerbaijan. And your team of ministers are even younger than yourself, and you're just 43 years old. So are you qualified for this position and for this job?
You know, when in our parliament, Republican deputies tried to show that I'm not enough experienced to be prime minister, I recall the example of Nelson Mandela, who was just a prisoner for 26 years before becoming president of the South African Republic. So I've just said that I was in politics in Armenia from the 1991, and I was a journalist that wrote so many articles on military officials, on state officials, about the political activity, and that was a huge university and huge experience for being politician, for being minister, for being prime minister, for being president, because I followed all these people and I wrote many articles what was right in their action and what wasn't right in their action.
Right now, you're an interim government. You need elections to have legitimacy. When are those going to happen? When are you going to have those elections?
If our political situation will stay same as we have now, I think we will have elections, snap elections, next year.
Okay, but initially you wanted snap elections, and those aren't exactly snap elections. It's a year on from this revolution. That's going to frustrate people, isn't it? You need those elections sooner, no?
Yes, but our important goal to have really democratic, transparent, and free elections. And the problem is that for other political actors, it wasn't expected to have such political changes. And for them, it is an expected situation. And if we will have snap elections now, it would be not a very equal situation for other political actors. We don't want to have unequal political field, and we want to give our political opponents a time for preparing for that elections.
It's been consistently maintained that this revolution was not a color revolution. It was not manipulated or influenced by political forces outside the country. But in order to carry out the reforms and the changes that you need, you are going to need significant financial assistance from the likes of the European Union and the United States.
We hope to have that financial assistance not only from the United States, European Union, but from Russia as well.
You have been to Russia twice in the last 2 months, as far as I know. You've been to Sochi and Moscow. You've met with Vladimir Putin. You've just got back from Brussels. How are you going to balance that relationship between Russia and the West? It is a difficult balancing act to maintain. You'll have to agree there.
I don't think that there is a need to balance this relationship. We are going to increase the quality of our relations, not only with Russia, but also with the European Union, with the United States, with Iran, with China, with India, etc., with Georgia. And we are going to build that relationship on a base of the national interests of Armenia.
Nevertheless, you depend on Russia strategically and economically, but you are yourself in favor of openness, in favor of transparency, democracy, and human rights. These are European values. How do you stay on the right side of Vladimir Putin?
We saw within our revolution that our partners, I mean Russia, European Union, and United States, Iran, all our international partners, they respect our independence and our sovereignty, and they didn't interfere to our domestic affairs.
Just a few days ago, you had Russian military drills taking place. They have a military presence in Armenia. Those drills were taking place. Armenian people were upset, very upset by what happened. It's a very difficult situation to be in, where support for Russia is important to you, as I said, strategically, but at the same time...
Russian military representatives have already apologized for that incident, and I think it's an acceptable incident. And I have announced already that it was a provocation against the Armenian-Russian relationship, and it was provocation against the Armenian independence of Armenia, sovereignty of Armenia. And now there is an investigation that started, and I think that who is guilty for that incident should be punished.
But this is an example of the ways in which it can be seen that Moscow can use its influence on Armenia when it needs to. It has Gazprom here monopolizing the energy market. It guarantees security between Armenia and Azerbaijan. But
the situation is that many countries all around the world, they have tools to impact, to influence on the other countries. If we want to say absolutely, there is no absolute independence for any country, because all countries and the international community now they are connected very, very closely.
But Armenia in particular is in a very difficult situation. You have Azerbaijan as your neighbor.
Yes, we are in difficult situation, and we are going to overcome this difficult situation, and huge popular support from people that our government has. We are going to use that support for overcoming this situation, to manage this situation. We are going to increase the quality of our relation with Russia, with the European Union, with United States.
Well, let's talk about your relationships with your immediate neighbors, which perhaps is of even more critical importance, Turkey and Azerbaijan. Armenia fought a war over the territory of Nagorno-Karabakh in the 90s. That conflict continues to this day, albeit a frozen conflict as it's often referred to. What are you doing to bring peace to this region between Azerbaijan and Armenia? The first thing you did was go to Nagorno-Karabakh after becoming elected as Prime Minister. Perhaps that sent the right signal to Armenians. Did it send the right signal to Baku?
As any democracy, we are devoted to exclusively peaceful solution for Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. And it's very important because I'm sure that democracy, it is most important factor to create peace in our region. Because I'm sure that there is no any democracy that is willing to start a war and that is willing to use force for solution of any problems.
People are concerned. Azerbaijan has seized some form of territory in Nakhichevan, that important area between you and Iran.
It's wrong information.
If it's wrong information, they're talking war talk, though. It's aggressive language.
Yes, it is another topic, and I'm sure that after Azerbaijan became more aggressive after Armenian Revolution, because you know that we have big success making Armenia a democratic country in fighting corruption, to create level playing field, to fight monopolies. And I think that Ilham Aliyev has some fears that Azerbaijani people can be inspired from Armenian Revolution and to try to make changes, similar changes in Azerbaijan. And so I think the increase of the aggressive rhetoric by the Azerbaijani government is connected with this situation. And I'm sure that Azerbaijani government is trying to distract the attention of his own people from their domestic problem to the Nagorno-Karabakh problem. And so that's why I'm saying that any aggressive move against Armenia, it's aggressive move against democracy in our region.
At the same time, what are you going to do to bring lasting peace here? What are you prepared to give Azerbaijan back in exchange for lasting peace?
We are ready for peace negotiations. And I want to make clear that point. And I'm ready for negotiations with President of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev.
You're ready to meet him?
Yes, of course.
You've invited him to meet with you?
The problem is that we have a negotiation format.
Donald Trump doesn't mind breaking negotiation formats. He's met with the president of North Korea.
I don't think it is right work to do to break something when you aren't sure that you will be able to create something better. And you know that there is a negotiation format.
It's been in place for many years, but nothing has come out of it.
This format is very important for keeping peace and for creating real opportunity for really peaceful settlement of Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. Why? Because three very important and very influential countries are involved in the OSCE Minsk Group co-chair format. That's Russia, that's France, and that's United States. And I think that this format is able to solve this conflict peacefully if Armenian government and Azerbaijani government will have political will for peaceful solution. I can assure you and all international community that as any democratic government, we have real will and real desire to solve this conflict peacefully, and we are ready for negotiation. But I want to insist that we aren't going to make anything in the atmosphere of intimidation. You know, it's very important to create atmosphere of peace in our region. You can't hear any hate speech in Armenia connected with Azerbaijan and connected with Azerbaijani people. But unfortunately, every day we can hear hate speech from Azerbaijan toward Armenia, and what is very strange and very dangerous, we can hear that speech from even personally from the president of Azerbaijan.
With regards to Turkey, regardless of Nagorno-Karabakh and Azerbaijan, how are you going to get the borders reopened with Turkey, proper relations re-established with Ankara?
You know, the problem is that it isn't Armenia that closed the border with Turkey. In fact, it's Turkey that closed border with Armenia. In fact, that border is open from the Armenian side, and it's Turkey that should make decision on opening border. And Armenia is ready to establish diplomatic relations with Turkey without precondition and without any precondition, and that's Turkey that should make decision on that.
With all of this happening at the moment, with all of the international infighting that's going on, the European Union and the United States do not have a good relationship at the moment. Liberal democracies in the West are in crisis with the rise of the far right. Russia and the United States have a troubled relationship, although Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin seem to be getting along just fine. How do you see the White House, particularly led by Donald Trump, in terms of its impact on what happens to Armenia and the Armenian context? Do you look at what's happening in Europe and the United States and think, how does this impact Armenia?
You know, of course, we are concerned very much on regional situation, on the last development around Iran, because Iran is our close neighbor and our partner, and we hope that all these issues and all these disagreements will be solved through the peace and through the negotiation. And Armenia is, of course, ready to support these processes, and we are ready to be constructive in making our region more prosperous and peaceful and more secure.
Nikol Pashinyan, Prime Minister of Armenia, thank you for talking to Al Jazeera.
Thank you.